In today's Leeds news, Burnley double swoop, under 21's run continues, Ben Godfrey decision made, Taylor link won't go away, and transfer targets update. Morning folks, Ger here on Tuesday the 30th of January with your Leeds United news. Today, tomorrow and the 1st left in the window, 3 days remaining in the window. 11 p.m. on the 1st is the deadline day. Leeds a bit of work to do, nothing so far coming in the door, but there is some movement in terms of stories, at least in terms of some rumours going around and updates on players that Leeds have been linked with from more credible sources than normal, so we'll get into them in a minute. Also, just to say that this is the one a week. If you like the channel, if you want to help support this channel to grow, if you want all your daily Leeds news in less than 10 minutes in one spot without having to go through pop-ups and the internet, that's what we do here. You can subscribe and get that after the window as well for those who are new around the place as well. So subscribing helps us to grow, and I appreciate that. So we'll move on, we'll crack on and we'll get on with the stories. We'll start off with a story from Ben Jacobs on Give Me Sport around a potential double swoop by Leeds to Burnley. Ben Jacobs has been talking with Give Me Sport, and he said that Leeds could sign 2 players from Burnley before deadline day passes. Jacobs says that there is an opportunity for both clubs to do business in the next couple of days. And he went on to say that Benson Roberts is very high on Leeds' priority list and is a real option for Leeds. Jacobs also said that he believes that there is significant interest from Leeds in Manuel Benson. And there's still an option to buy that player and do a deal after David Brooks looks now likely that he is heading to Southampton. He was a target of Leeds apparently and Southampton. Southampton have got him. Manuel Benson looked like he was heading towards Southampton. That new move, according to Sasha Tavalieri, that move to Southampton is now off and the player now becomes available. Manuel Benson will be seen as a versatile player for Leeds who can play on the wing with a left footer or can play in the number 10 position as well, which would give Leeds a little more options there as well. Jacobs believes that there is genuine interest from Leeds in these players, and he says there is a genuine belief that both clubs will do business before the window closes, so keep an eye on that. There is another Burnley player coming up shortly. Moving away from transfers for a little minute, we'll get back to normal news once the window closes as well. But the under-21s were in action last night and their bad run of form continues. Not a huge amount of wins for Scott Gardner since he's taken over the club at the moment. They went down 3-1 at home to Sunderland yesterday, with the only goal from Leeds coming in the way of an OG. It's been a really tough run for Scott Gardner. There's been a handful of wins in his time since he became caretaker and then permanent manager. But it should be said that the under-21 squad has been absolutely decimated by players going out on loan, players being called up to the Leeds first team, and then a couple of injuries as well for the likes of Sean McGurk. So it's been really tough. There is a clear rebuild that will be needed there in the summer. And from what I can make out, there'll be a clear rebuild of both squads in Leeds United. Should Leeds get promoted to the Premier League in the summer, there's a clear out of Ellen Road expected in the summer. But we'll get to that when that one happens. But it's been a tough couple of weeks for the under-21s. They look to get back to winning ways, hopefully next week if they can. But best luck to Scott. That's a tough gig he's got there at the moment with playing the new format of Premier League. Might actually make it a bit easier for Leeds. You don't have to worry about relegation, but they will definitely need a rebuild there at some point. Moving on to one of the main stories of today, and it's around Ben Godfrey. Ben Godfrey's been linked with Leeds consistently throughout this window. He seems to be one of the names that just won't go away. There's some more news this morning on this, and according to Sky Sports and according to iNews, Everton expect Ben Godfrey and Michael Keane both to leave Goodison Park this window. Sean Dyche has apparently given the green light for both players to leave. He's not expecting many incomings. He's described their financial situation as too tight right now to bring anybody in. So he looks like he is green lighting a move for these players away. The report states that Leeds will have competition for Ben Godfrey should they go after him. The genuine move seems to have fallen away due to a tax change. For those who thought I said something else yesterday, a tax change in Italy that basically means they generally are in a position where they can't bring the player in. So there is still links potentially to AC Milan there as well. The clubs have been described as being miles apart in terms of a fee earlier this month, but it now appears, according to Sky Sports News, that Leeds will be willing to insert an obligation to buy Godfrey if they can get this deal done. Godfrey cost Everton 25 million when he was bought from Daniel Farke's Norwich back in that time. Hasn't played a huge amount of games. I think it's 60 or 80 games in the couple of seasons, 3 seasons that he's been there. But he will be deemed as an expensive signing or a big signing for Leeds in this window should they get him. Godfrey and Farke go way back. They have a relationship from Norwich. That might help him bypass the whole minutes thing. He knows what to expect from Farke. Farke knows what to expect from him. Moving on from that Leeds live, they also believe that there is that both parties are in talks right now, trying to come up with a compromise between the obligation fee, how far apart that they are. Everyone obviously want close to what they paid for him. Leeds will not be willing to pay that for a player that hasn't had a huge amount of minutes and hasn't played much this season at all. So there's going to be an interesting one. Can they compromise on a deal, and can they manage to get to a situation where they can meet in the middle ground there? And that's apparently, according to Leeds live, that's where the clubs are right now, is trying to find that middle ground and how much money Leeds can save on this, and FFP is a factor as well, and get a fee that Everton are willing to accept. And they also have FFP problems potentially the next year as well if they're trying to sell some players. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But Ben Godfrey seems to be a very, very solid link, and one player that is being described as being a priority target for Leeds in this window. It would be a fantastic signing to get Godfrey if Leeds do manage to get him. There was a lot of meltdown yesterday online about the Leo Hjelde sale and about Leeds not doing any business, and it's kind of understandable. But if you could bring in a couple of really big players before the end of the window that will make the squad stronger, then you don't argue with that. But it will be pressure. As I said on Joe's show yesterday, that right now I'm okay to wait till the end of the window to see where Leeds are, but that's not to say by the end of the window I won't be upset if Leeds haven't brought in fullbacks, because we can't afford to let that one go. Speaking of fullbacks and potential centre-backs, Charlie Taylor link just won't go away. And again, it has popped up this morning, this time from the Yorkshire Evening Post. And according to the Yorkshire Evening Post, they state that Charlie Taylor, Connor Roberts and Ben Godfrey are the three names that Leeds are trying to get done before the window closes. Taylor is out of contract in the summer with Burnley, but has played a huge amount of games this season for them. I think he's played 18 matches for them this season in the Premier League. And a deal for the player has been described as very hard, down as far as unlikely to get done. Taylor played the bulk of his games last season Burnley at centre back, so would give Daniel Farke rotationary options there at left centre back, as well as playing at left full as well, which would be nice to have a fit left full who has experience in this level as well. 16 starts is what Taylor has for Burnley. Just check my notes. If Burnley can bring in fullbacks, it's likely that Taylor will go, but it will depend on what Burnley can bring in before the window closes. And that has been stated that if they can get a replacement, then Charlie Taylor could be made available. Burnley will look to try and bring in some money for the player before the end of the season. It looks like he's not going to sign a new deal, or new deal is not going to be offered to the player. So there could be an opportunity here, but that one again could be into the last day of the window until see who blinks first. Like, do Burnley just go take the money in right now because we're going to get nothing from him in the summer? He has played a lot under Vincent Kompany, and that should be said as well, so he might not be as willing to let the player go. And then finally today we'll just rattle through the players that have been linked with Leeds and look like they're heading elsewhere to keep the loops all closed on the transfer. We'll start off with Ryan Giles. He looks like, for all intents and purposes, he is done and dusted with Hull City. Medical was yesterday with him. David Brooks looked like Leeds were interested in bringing the player in. According to lots of media yesterday, it now looks, and Fabrizio Romano confirming this as well, that David Brooks will have his medical today at Southampton ahead of a loan move to them. Chris Meffin, Leeds have had a bid rejected, as have Sheffield United, for the Bournemouth player as well. He is being described as staying put in this window. Leeds were very keen on Meffin, but it looks like that deal will not happen now. Calvin Ramsey from Liverpool, fullback, who's been linked consistently throughout this window as well, but was described earlier last week as not being good enough to push his way into the Leeds United side. He has headed towards Bolton. So looking at where these players are going, outside of David Brooks going to Southampton, Ryan Giles going to Hull City, and Calvin Ramsey going to Bolton, there's definitely players going to clubs where they're going to get minutes as opposed to coming into Leeds and to fight for their place. And there's a piece on this. I know I said about this before that, Daniel Farke's way of not rotating the squad and not using subs early enough in a game might mean that players are looking at this and not wanting to come to Leeds. And the other way of looking at this is, if you're a really good player, you back yourself and you look at the Leeds squad and go, yeah, I might have to sit on the bench for 2 weeks, but then I'll force my way into the team. If you're a Connor Roberts or a Ben Godfrey, you're going to look at it and go, I'm good enough to get into that team. I back myself when I get into that squad to push my way into the team. Week or two I'll be in the starting 11 and then everything's fine. It seems to be a slightly weaker character of players who want guaranteed minutes without having to work for those minutes as well. So I think Leeds might be doing the right thing, assuming we can bring in the players that we need to bring in before the window closes. I think Leeds need minimum two. If they can get three, brilliant. But it could be a very interesting couple of days. God forbid Leeds don't sign anybody. There could be an absolute meltdown online, especially when Leeds start, if Leeds start losing games after that as well. But wait and see. It's not done yet. We have time. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to stay positive for now. Anyway, that's going to be it for me today, folks. I might be back later on if we get some deals done with a live stream. I keep saying this every day. The window has screwed me over with content, to be honest with you. So we'll have to wait and see what happens, but we'll get to it towards the back end of the week anyway, and we'll cover the whole window when the window does close as well. There will be a live stream for the last hour of the window as well, so keep an eye out for that as well. I'll be back possibly later on, but definitely tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you then. Bye.